they can't talk or walk yet. And they're up in their parents' arms. They've got their peekaboo scarves and they're listening to the music. They're focusing on the music and waiting and listening. And at the end of the phrase, simultaneously, they all take their peekaboo scarf off themselves. No parent involvement. And it's just fascinating because you think, how can a baby be that focused and in time with all the other babies? And it's just amazing when you see how much, because there's so much they're learning and what's going on that we don't realize because they can't communicate yet. But it's all happening, and it's witnessed, especially at the concerts at that moment.
Welcome to Transforming the Toddler Years, the podcast for conscious parents, caregivers, and educators who believe tantrums aren't terrible. They are powerful opportunities for connection, growth, and learning during the first 5 years. You'll explore how to use intentional language to raise calm, confident, and deeply connected kids, because the way we talk to kids becomes how they see themselves and engage with the world. Hi, I'm your host, Cara Tyrrell, classroom teacher turned parent educator and teacher trainer. Are you ready to nurture your children's mind, body, and spirit? Welcome, Toddler Tribe. Let's transform the toddler years together. Okay, Toddler Tribe, you know your kids love music, listening to it, making it, dancing to it, singing to it. Did you know that music is building their brain? Esther Bertram is on the show today, here from Mini Maestros, and she's going to share with us all the ways that simple, fun, engaging, repetitive music through their online courses allow your kids to become very successful learners over time. She has been the Chief Marketing Officer at Mini Maestros for over 10 years with extensive marketing expertise and a deep passion for early childhood education. She's also a professional singer and songwriter, so she really understands how music builds your child's early brain. And spoiler alert, you get to hear me sing just a little in this episode too. So have a listen and make sure to check out their on-demand Mini Maestro courses for your tiny human beings. Welcome back, Toddler Tribe. I have a very exciting guest for you today. We're talking about music, which is just such a beautiful way to connect with other people and also to grow a little human's brain. And she's joining us. Esther Bertram is here all the way from Australia. Thank you so much for taking time early in your day when it's late in mine.
Yes, very early. Thank you so much for having us here. It's wonderful.
Yeah, so Mini Maestros, when I originally saw this come through, I was just all in. First of all, the name is brilliant, and your company works specifically to curate content for working with kids' brains through movement and music and melody. How do we build brains with music?
Yeah, it's like a magical key for the lock of a little one's brain. Yeah, we've been running for about 40 years, and from the child's perspective, how we're building it is we're just having a lot of fun. So they don't even realize what's going on behind the scenes. So our classes are for baby. We have like 5 levels, just like school. Babies, 1s, 2s, 3s, and 4s. So it's a full 5-year program. And they are sequentially built, so they learn whatever they're up to in their milestones of their natural development. And then they learn through, like the babies are learning a lot through the body. So it's music and movement. So it's not just music. And so for them, from the perspective of a child, they're having just a lot of fun with something that is so organic to them anyway, because every single child who's born is musical. Some parents think, oh, my child isn't musical, or I'm not musical, therefore my child's not musical, when it's actually all of us. You are, every single person is born musical. And that's because when we're growing in mum, the first experience of reality is the heartbeat. And this is the rhythm of life. That's all we know is this. And we hear the tone of our parents speaking, we can hear the melody of their voice. That's their favorite sound in the whole world, is the sound of their parents' voice. And it is musical in a way, yeah. And so from their perspective, they're just having fun. When they come to our classes, they're learning things that develop upon the first experience they ever had. But what's going on behind the scenes is, that's the most fascinating part, is under the age of 6, it is the most neural activity we'll ever have in our whole life. So they are just firing everything, absorbing everything, learning everything. And there's this amazing researcher and writer, Dr. Anita Collins. She studies a lot about the neuroplasticity and everything that's going on. She calls it the fireworks effect. And basically, it's the only activity that actively connects almost all areas of the brain at once. And you can't get that from any other activity. So even though you're doing simple things with the children in the classes, it's creating new neural pathways that you can't get to any other way. And these stay for your entire life. That's what's fascinating about it. So yeah, it's just amazing.
I was sharing with you before we went on that I've recently come from an early childhood conference, and as much joy as I get for presenting on my topic of expertise, I love taking other people's classes too. And I went to a music and movement class, and particularly on drumming, which was really fun. And they put up this graphic, and my mind, now I've done a lot of science-based research, especially for the book, right? With language acquisition and development. I was just amazed. I'm counting right now because I'm looking at this graphic. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different parts of the brain light up, connect, and learn through music and movement.
Yeah. It's absolutely fascinating, because when that happens, it's like you're giving your child an extra advantage in life forever, because it's happening in the short term. So there's so many benefits that happen right then, but these benefits reach far into the future. So they help with later in life. They have school readiness. You're better for mathematics. You're better for also spatial learning. You're better for empathy, social. You're better at listening. It's phenomenal. I didn't know anything about this until I joined Mini Maestros 10 years ago, because I used to teach guitar from 6 years and above, because I'm a professional musician, but that was my only experience with children. But then when I got there, I was absolutely fascinated how these little ones, and you can see it on their faces, like just how beaming they are. And it's because you're feeding their brain, and it's like giving nutrients to this growing plant. And they're just like, happy.
You just solved my entire childhood for me. I come from a musical family. Yeah. I don't really ever remember a time when my dad didn't have a guitar in his hand. And he would play, and he was a kindergarten teacher.
Oh,
right?
wow.
So he would play in the classroom and teach through music. And my mom was a first grade teacher, and they taught whole language development courses. Yep. This was pre-internet, right? We're dating ourselves a little bit here, but I texted them right before this, and I said, I had no idea what a gift you gave me.
Oh, wow.
As a little person, by basically just marinating me in music, and not just one style or one genre, like all the rhythms and all the melodies and all the gutturals and all the things that we don't normally hear or process in our day to day.
Absolutely. What a beautiful thing to honor them with that. It's a bit like the gut microbiome. So they say you have to have 11 or something different things to really make it thrive. And we purposefully in Mini Maestros lessons, we have all different genres and different rhythms, even different languages, so the children can get that whole spectrum of input. And so, you find new reference points. And
that's amazing. So when I was going through your website, I thought to myself, well, this is really fun, right? I get how fun it is. I've lived it. And when I'm working with kids, I'm using transition songs all the time and just enjoying that as well. But I noticed that you specifically call out these skills that by going through your courses and your classes, kids are developing their language acquisition, that their speech and their articulation is evolving. Their auditory processing they're practicing hearing up through that cochlea and into that's part of the brain that processes speech. Motor skills, all of those made sense to me as a teacher.
Yeah.
Then I saw focusing and steady beat. Help me understand.
Oh, yeah. So steady beat is a very common thing we do in all of our classes, like especially through the body and learning how to just feel that rhythm. Again, going back to the heartbeat. So that often is a steady beat unless the mum's running for the bus. It's going really fast. But having that very steady beat is one of the base levels of music, because from that's when you can, it's like that's a reference point. You know, when there's a steady beat, that's your drive behind everything, and then you can expand from there. So we have a lot of that, and for children this age, we learn it through the body. So we'll have stamping songs or clapping or tapping on the drum. So there's a lot of learning what that is and experiencing it through the body. And focusing is another one, especially for the babies. Like we will have some puppet things as well, and imaginary play where there is really storytelling going on, where there's a moment where you are engaging the child on a musical story or journey, and they are focusing on what you're bringing them into focus. And they're learning then about listening and waiting, and also about phrasing of music. A lot of the babies, the most amazing thing is at our end of year concerts, we have all the years performing on the stage with their parents, and the babies steal the show. And that's because they are so tiny. They can't talk or walk yet. They're up in their parents' arms. They've got their peekaboo scarves, and they're listening to the music. They're focusing on the music and waiting and listening. And at the end of the phrase, simultaneously, they all take their peekaboo scarf off themselves. No parent involvement. And it's just fascinating, because you think, how can a baby be that focused and in time with all the other babies? And it's just amazing when you see how much, because there's so much they're learning and what's going on that we don't realize, because they can't communicate yet. But it's all happening, and it's witnessed, especially at the concerts at that moment.
I love how you referenced that firework effect. What you just described is what I call the invisible learning years.
Yes.
That it's there, but it's behind that veil.
Yeah.
And if we could, and we're working really hard with neuroscience to figure it out, but if we could kind of peek in there, we would see it all happening.
Yeah, that's the thing. And it's been there for years. We've all been doing it intuitively. We know, and all tribes around the world, they rock their babies with lullabies to help them emotionally regulate and soothe. And we stamp in time with rhythms ourselves. We might have a little living room dance party. So intuitively, I think we all know that it's important, and we do it anyway. But the science is just catching up now, going, well, this is why. You already know it's good.
Wonderful.
But yeah.
One of the things I love that you said is that a lot of parents don't think that they're musical. So what I've noticed is people think they have to actually be able to sing in order to be allowed to sing in front of their child. And that's just not real, is it? Like, these kiddos are not criticizing pitch. They are absorbing intonation and fluctuation of melody, and they're making other connections.
Absolutely. Yeah. That is a very, very common thing for parents, because the further we get away as adults from childhood play, the more aware and self-insecure we can sometimes get of just having fun and being silly and just trying things, whereas children don't have that. But what children pick up on more than anything, because they're not yet attuned to tune and they pick up energy and enthusiasm. So if you come to music with enthusiasm, and you just give it a go and you just try and you let your hair down and you jump around like a kangaroo, because it doesn't matter. Actually, if you look at it from the moon, you're a tiny little ant. Who actually cares? It doesn't matter if you're going to be silly, especially with your child. Like, your child will love it. They love it. They love it when their parents are just a little bit silly. But your energy for sharing that moment with them, it helps bond with your child as well. And there is no better sound to them than their parents' voice. And it does not matter if you have the most creative tuning of the world. We just have to remember that it's also for their experience. And yeah, we just need to get out of our own way and not be so insecure.
Absolutely. The other thing that I have been noticing is, well, we know kids learn through repetition, right? That's not new information. But what I'm noticing is that the adults, whoever they might be, get very tired of the repetition very quickly. Right? We are always looking for something novel, something new, so up level it or do the melody different, or, we're looking for a resolution that sounds good to us. So how do we know when this kiddo has learned everything they can learn from the repetition, whether that song be 3 times in a row, 9 times in a row, 12 times in a row, and we're like, please, no more.
You'll know because they'll lose a bit of interest and they'll start exploring more. So the great thing about music is there's no right or wrong outcomes, and that creates a growth mindset in children. So if they repeat enough, it's so crucial that they repeat, because that is the building block of confidence. If you, yes, we're overstimulated in an adult world with social media and everything's got to be fast and this, that, the other. It's hard to, like you say, it's hard to slow down and remember that when we were little, we needed that repetition, because you can't build upon skills with just a little bit of this, a little bit of that. There's no room for mastering a skill. And when a child, and that's why we are very systematic in our system, that produces amazing results, the right amount of repetition. Some children will learn faster and some take longer, but the average, we cater for the average, and so it's a bit flexible. And that's why Mini Maestros On Demand is amazing, because you can go at your own pace. Yeah. When you repeat at the right amount, the child is building these fundamental skills that they are then so, there's no right or wrong answers, but when they do master it, they are filled with such confidence, and that confidence spreads into their whole childhood experience, their whole adult experience, because they've got strong self-esteem. I mastered something. They've got the reward chemicals going on. I've done it, and your parents are proud. Look, you've done it. You're so like those little babies with the peekaboo. Yeah, and building that intrinsic motivation, that inner desire to know that you have something you'd like to achieve, and then figure out how you're going to get there. Yeah. I mean, the fact that music can do that is just so beautiful in a way that just straight words just can't do. That's correct. Yes, creative problem solving is another one of these after effects because of this brain connection. So in the short term, you're doing creative problem solving with this. Let's experiment with a different rhythm and a different melody, but purely the fact that this brain is having the fireworks effect with the neuroplasticity at its highest under 6, you then have the ability with this overarching effect of creative problem solving in any domain of life.
Okay, Toddler Tribe, I'm going to get you back to this episode in just a minute, because my guests are awesome, aren't they? Just love it. But first, I have a question for you. Do you know the difference between conscious discipline and collaborative discipline? I have a 4 C's of collaborative discipline model, and I would love for you to grab it. It's totally a free resource. Just hit the download button in the show notes, and you'll get a graphic that you can print that walks you through the 4 steps of working with your little people: connecting and communicating, collaborating, and then compromising. Grab it today and get started shunning all of those pesky power struggles and working with your little people to create collaborative solutions instead. So my dad wrote 4 children's albums and recorded them first on cassette tapes and then on CDs. And he was big on using close activities in his music. And so for listeners, if you're not sure what that means, usually in the written word, it's used to test comprehension, right? So you write down a sentence and you leave one thing blank and the student fills it in to show that they know how that resolution happens. So do you mind if I just sing you a couple of bars?
Yeah, go for it.
Of his song. It's called The Color Song, and he used it in kindergarten with his 5 and 6 years old. Yeah. I saw a truck go up the road. The truck was carrying a heavy load. I saw the truck go up ahead. I think I'll color it. And he waits for them to fill it in. And what was so beautiful about the social effect of the group was there'd be a couple really fast processors.
Yeah.
Red, and then all the others got to be right without having to say anything out loud. It was so beautiful.
Yeah, that's really lovely. That's so lovely. And the other thing that song is doing is you're learning all different bits of information. You're learning about the truck. You're learning about colors. Like we have a lot about animals as well in our songs. And you can actually use it to teach your children your phone number or your address. As soon as you put it in song like that, like this is a song that's in your brain forevermore. And if you sing your address to a really small, you can do this with very, very small children. And if you turn it, that's how jingles on the TV work. You probably remember some from decades ago of some weird jingle, and then you hear that word and it's like, oh yeah, I remember it because it's in a song. You can put it in your brain then.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is what I mean about foundational. And this is the thing, actually, right? We say the first 5 and 6 years are the most essential in a child's life. And what's also true is they're usually the most overwhelming for the parents or caregivers. And so the juxtaposition of those two things being true at the same time can be tricky. Mm-hmm. Now, you created an amazing resource, this Mini Maestros on Demand. And so I want to talk about that for just a second because everything's online.
Yeah. And
we know so much now about minimizing screen time and screen access. So picking the things that really actually move your child's development forward, which is yours. And then the other thing that we hear a lot about these days is that parental or caregiver involvement and engagement while watching and learning and listening is actually the key that unlocks everything. Because in your in-person classes, that's happening.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and also the great thing is you can do it on your schedule as well, and repeat, as we talked about, repetition. Yeah. Like in-person classes, we repeat over a few weeks some exercises, but for little learners at home, you can repeat every day if you want to, and you can really advance skills in that way if you have capacity for that and having that bonding moment. And with our very small lessons, like for babies, even 1-year-olds, but more babies, you don't have to have any screen time with them in our program. You can literally face your little one to you and you watch the screen and you're learning skills with the teacher that you're doing directly with your little one. So they're only looking at you. So as they get a bit older, there's a bit more interaction. They'll probably want to see, because they're very engaging classes, and it's like, they want to see all the movements, and you might not have learned fast enough to do, and they'll be very tempted by the songs and the bright colors and stuff. But yeah, the baby ones you can do yourself.
That is incredible. I am so glad I asked you that question because I'm well past, the idea of having another baby, but gave me such relief that like we get to start this on our own terms and go forward as. So on that note, you know, if parents who are listening are like, oh, this is great, like we're just about to have a baby or ours is 2 months old, well, they're going to get started right away, and that's amazing. What about kiddos who are already 2 or 3? Do they slide right in? Or is there anything that you feel like they need to know for that foundational stuff?
No, they can slide right in at that age because our classes do repeat enough and the exercises are simple enough that you can just start. It would be a little bit harder for the 4-year-olds only because that's the only lesson where we have a little chime bar you need. We don't have hardly any equipment you need to get. That's the other thing. We make it so easy to start up at home. Like we give instructions how to make a shaker out of a plastic bottle with beans or rice. Like you can just make it from household things or banging on a saucepan or something like that. You don't have to buy anything. You can just start. The 4-year-old class, they need a chime bar, but even they can start because we build upon, if you start at term 1, you build upon the skills and they get more advanced as the course goes on, as the lessons go on.
This just sounds like a win-win-win in every way, right? The ease of access, the lack of needing to go get stuff, and then of course the building of this small human's brain while you're having fun and singing and dancing and building a relationship. I love everything about it.
Yeah, and we've made it super affordable as well because, you know, if I had a guitar lesson one-on-one here, I'd probably charge $50 Australian. Our 10-week course, which is 10 full lessons that you can do as many times as you like for a whole year, actually. Even if it's term 1, you have it for a whole year. It's only 49 Australian dollars, which is about 30 American dollars, which is like $3 a lesson. And you can pay off in 3 parts if that's also too much. So we've made it absolutely affordable, just because we want the music out there. We want the little brains of the world growing as efficiently as possible. So
wow. Oh, well, with that, I don't know. Toddler Tribe, how do you not do this, right? Just a fun activity to do with your kids for all the amazing reasons we just said. And now we know you can afford it.
And the first lesson is free. Yeah.
And the first lesson is free. My gosh, it just keeps getting better and better. Well, the link for you to sign up will be in the show notes. So it's quick and easy. Just click it. And I'm sure if you have any follow-up questions that you can reach out to the customer service section of Mini Maestros as you go along. Is that also correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Amazing. Wow. Well, again, thank you so much for coming on this morning and sharing with us just what is such a simple and also so complicated process that is happening, that the simplicity of routine and rhythm and consistency and sound and movement can create kids who are truly world ready.
Absolutely. And the outcome of, we always talk about creative, capable, resilient, and aware. And these are things we need to have with the changing landscape of the world. And those are the massive 4 outcomes that you have through music. And it's great.
Well, amen to that. I want to live in that world for sure. All right, Toddler Tribe, you know what to do. This time around, you're going to go click that link, get yourself started in this really fun, beautiful course, and stay mindful and proactive as we transform the toddler years.